Hello again, and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel. I'm your host, Prince Magnum, and welcome to Surviving Romance. Alright, as the title suggests, pot roast without a pot. Alright, be sure to get all of your items on this list together. Um, Real quick, the chuck roast that I tell you to use is not what I have. A friend of mine said, "Oh, I'll pick up whatever you need for groceries." And guess what? You had one job. Anyhow, all right. Take your cumin and kosher salt and rub down both sides of the steak liberally, which I did not show, but I think you all know how to do that. And when I say liberally, I mean coat that sucker. Okay. Um, and get your cast iron skillet rocket hot. Okay, I mean get that thing like a branding iron. Okay, put it over high heat. Give it a couple of minutes. At least I'm gonna say 5 minutes. Put your roast in and sear it on both sides. It'll take about 2 to 3 minutes per side. What you're looking for is kind of a light color, and you'll briefly see it when we go to take this out of the pan. Now, while this is going on, helpful hint: if your ventilation system in your kitchen isn't the greatest, like you just seen me do, please open the window. Okay. Right now, since the sear is going on, I'm taking the time to go ahead and finish gathering up any last ingredients I might possibly need. Okay. Um, Once this train starts going, you really don't want to stop. Don't, you know, staring at the meat isn't going to make it cook any faster. So, because this takes a good long while, don't waste any time. Okay. So, the type of method that we will be using today is a braise, which is a long, moist, low heat method. The reason why you do this with a chuck roast is because there's a lot of connective tissue in there, and anybody who knows anything about cuisine knows that connective tissue lets off collagen. Collagen, when it's one of the things that you get when you make gelatin. So if you like Jello, you know where this is going. All right. After a couple minutes, be sure to give the meat a flip. Because of the way that it's done, really honestly and truthfully, a set of tongs will be sufficient. I really wouldn't try to use a spatula on this one. It just won't happen. Okay, I don't think it'll work. So tongs, spring-loaded tongs. You guys got that right? Anyhow, another couple minutes on like I said on the next side, because of the shape of the roast, I had to basically use. I had to do three sides, but you'll get the idea. All right. As I said, make sure everything's in place. One of the things that I kind of forgot to do in this video, now would be the time to drain the olives and the cocktail onions. Okay. Also, if you haven't done already, chop up the garlic. I don't quite show that in the video, but basically everything goes in. If you want to add a little extra flavor, you'll see me briefly add some regular cold press olive oil. Leave the extra virgin olive oil for dips and salad dressings and things like that. Don't try to. Extra virgin olive oil burns very easy, and burned oil tastes horrible. Um, you know this if you have ever been in a restaurant and get a deep fried food and they hadn't changed the oil in a while. It just doesn't taste good. So skip the extra virgin olive oil this time. Okay. Um, so right now, like I said, we're finishing up our sear. If you don't find this interesting, you might want to skip ahead a little ways uh, to probably, I'm going to say, a couple minutes ahead. You know, so just bear that in mind. Couple minutes ahead, and we'll be pretty well finishing this up. But I needed you to. But if you're going to stick with me this long, I just needed you to see. It really doesn't take that long for the sear. It really doesn't. you can actually knock a couple of minutes off if you get the steak cut chuck roast. Okay, and real quick, this is a take on the Alton Brown recipe from his show, Good Eats. I just do it a little bit differently because sometimes, whatever chuck roast you can get is what you can get, and he specifically says a 7 bone. I say whatever you can get your hands on. Steer clear of bottom round. Well, stay clear of the round. It dries out a little bit too much. Just not enough connective tissue there. But unfortunately, that's what we had. And we still made it work because it was still dang good. Okay? Also, he does cut up onion. I myself, I hate cutting up vegetation. It was bad enough I had to cut up the dang garlic. So, cocktail onions were fine. When you're done with your sear, put it on a plate. Okay? Just set it aside. Don't worry about it. It's not going anywhere. Take your tomato juice, get it in the pan. Be wary of the steam. Next thing you want to do is grab your balsamic vinegar, get that into the pan. And just for the record, it would have helped if I would have already had drained the olives and the cocktail onions. I just didn't do it. And I almost forgot the garlic, but thankfully I remembered, right after I turned the camera off, and I quickly put it in there. Put all of the cocktail onions in, all of the olives. If you have about a 5.7 ounce jar of olives. If you've got a bigger jar than that, say you bought in bulk, if you twisted my arm, I would say about 2 good sized handfuls. Okay, if you really want to push it, 2.5. Okay, and basically at this point, we're going to cook this down to about half. Okay. I like a little bit more water to it, but you want to cook it down. Adjust your heat accordingly. You just want this under the boil, okay? So that's what you're going to do. Now, once you get your, I guess you could say your flavorful liquid down about half, there, I just put a touch of the classic olive or cold press olive oil, nothing fancy. But basically, once you get to that point, make sure that you have your aluminum foil ready. If it's heavy duty, 2 strips is good. If it's the regular, you might want to go ahead and use 4. Just saying. And if you've got it, go ahead and use a cookie sheet or a half sheet pan. But now at this point, basically half of the liquid is going to go into the aluminum foil. Okay? Then you're going to set your roast in, and then you're going to pour the rest of it in after that. Okay? And then you're going to take the aluminum foil and just basically make like a pouch. Okay? And I know what a lot of you are saying who make the traditional pot roast, that's really not a whole lot of liquid. Trust me, it's more than enough. The meat will give off juices as it slowly cooks, making a lot more liquid than before. And if you want, you could take that liquid and turn it into a gravy if you'd like. We didn't do that. I just didn't feel like messing with it. Okay? So, once you do that, make sure your oven has already been preheated, 250, 275, depending on your oven. And like I said before, I think I said it before. Shoot, I can't remember. If you have an oven thermometer, now is the time to use it. Okay? And once you have done all of this and the roast goes in the oven, set your timer for 3.5 hours. Yeah, I know. When 3.5 hours is up, pull the roast out and set on the cooktop, with no heat going or whatever, or wherever, just out of the way, and let it sit for another half hour. Okay? Now, once your 4 hours is up, Um, the the pouch did leak a little bit. That's why we had it on the pan. Uh, Shake it to make sure there's no surprises. We don't want to burn ourselves because it's still pretty good and warm in there. Okay. Once you do that, get it back on the sheet pan and just tear the package open. You'll get to see what the roast looks like. It, like I said, because it wasn't the type that I would typically use, it was a little dry, but it was still really good. Okay, so just trust me when I say it was well worth it. Okay, and once you get the pouch open, you can get the vegetables. Basically, you can cut up the roast and divvy it up. Makes a great main course for four, or just one great big meal for two. Okay, so uh, yeah, you're about to see. That's kind of what it looks like. Not half bad. Not half bad. Um, the garlic, the olives, and the tomato. It was just really good, and I always love the smell of it while it's cooking. And there you have it. There's the final product. All right, wonderful dish for your wonderful wife. I hope you all enjoyed this. That brings us to the end of Surviving Romance. If you have a sweetheart, tell them you love them today, and get out there and work on a project. Above all, if nobody has told you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you, and have a happy 24. Thank you.